What if I told you that the most dangerous enemy in your life has never been outside of you? Not your boss, not your past, not your failures, not the people who doubted you. What if the thing ruining your life is the voice inside your own head? That voice you listen to every single day. The voice that whispers doubt. The voice that questions your worth. The voice that replays your mistakes. The voice that says you're not good enough, you're too late, you'll fail again. Let me ask you something, and don't run from this question. If someone spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, would you keep them in your life? Most people wouldn't. But somehow, they allow that voice to live rent-free in their mind. They wake up with it. They go to sleep with it. They let it decide their confidence, their actions, their future. And then they wonder why their life feels heavy, why they feel stuck, why they feel tired even when they haven't done anything. Negative thinking is not harmless. It is not just thoughts. It is slow poison. Every negative thought you repeat becomes a command. Every doubt you entertain becomes a limit. Every excuse you accept becomes a prison. And here's the brutal truth most people don't want to hear. Your mind does not care if a thought is true or false. It only cares if you repeat it. Repeat something long enough, and your mind accepts it as reality. That's how people destroy themselves without ever realizing it. They don't fail because they aren't capable. They fail because they mentally quit long before they physically stop trying. Negative thinking doesn't scream. It whispers. It sounds logical. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like, I'll start tomorrow. I need more time. I'm just being realistic. But realism without action is just fear in disguise. You see, your brain has one primary job. Keep you safe. Not successful. Not fulfilled. Safe. And safety means comfort, familiarity, predictability. So when you try to change, when you try to grow, when you try to push past who you've been, your mind fights back. It reminds you of past failures. It exaggerates risks. It creates imaginary disasters. It convinces you that staying where you are is smarter than stepping into the unknown. That's negative thinking doing its job. But here's what nobody tells you. The same mind that protects you can also imprison you. And most people live their entire lives inside a mental cage they never question. They confuse thoughts with facts. They confuse fear with intuition. They confuse comfort with peace. Let me be very clear. Just because a thought feels real doesn't mean it's true. Just because it's loud doesn't mean it's right. Negative thinking is not insight. It's conditioning. It comes from past pain, past embarrassment, past rejection, past moments where you tried and failed and learned the wrong lesson. Instead of learning, I need to grow, you learn I shouldn't try. Instead of learning, I can improve, you learn I'm not enough. Instead of learning, failure is feedback, you learn failure is proof I should stop. And now, every time opportunity appears, your mind pulls you back into the past. But listen carefully. You cannot build a future with a mindset stuck in yesterday. The version of you that survives negative thinking is not the version that wins. The version that wins is the one that kills it, not ignores it, not negotiates with it, not waits for it to go away. Kills it, because every great transformation starts with one decision. I will no longer believe every thought I think. And that decision changes everything. Let's get something straight right now. You will never think your way into a better life if you don't first break the thinking that's destroying you. Negative thinking is not random. It is a habit. And like every habit, it was built and it can be destroyed. But most people don't destroy it because they don't recognize it in real time. They think it's just how they are. They think it's personality. They think it's realism. It's not. It's conditioning. Your brain is a prediction machine. It predicts your future based on your past. So if your past is full of pain, rejection, failure, embarrassment, your mind learns one lesson. Avoid pain at all costs. That's why negative thoughts show up strongest when you're about to do something important. Ever notice that? Right before you try something new, right before you step up, right before you take a risk, that's when the voice gets louder. What if you fail? What if you look stupid? What if it doesn't work? What if you waste time? What if you're not built for this? That's not intuition. That's fear wearing a mask. And here's the dangerous part. If you obey that voice long enough, it becomes your identity. You don't just think negatively. You become someone who expects failure. You lower your standards. You stop dreaming big. You stop pushing. You stop believing. And then life feels small. But listen to me carefully. You were not born with negative thinking. You learned it. which means it can be unlearned. But it won't happen by hoping. It won't happen by motivation alone. It happens through discipline of thought. You must become a gatekeeper of your mind. Not every thought gets access. Not every emotion gets control. Not every feeling gets authority. Because here's a truth that separates winners from everyone else. Winners feel fear and act anyway. Losers feel fear and obey it. The goal is not to eliminate negative thoughts completely. That's impossible. The goal is to stop identifying with them. A thought is just a suggestion, not a command, not a fact, not a prophecy. You don't have to argue with it. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to believe it. You simply notice it and choose differently. That's power. When a negative thought says, "You can't do this," you respond with action, not reassurance, not comfort. Action, because action rewires the brain faster than affirmation ever will. Every time you move forward despite doubt, your brain learns a new lesson. I am safe even when I'm uncomfortable. And that lesson changes everything. That's how confidence is built, not by positive thinking, but by proving the negative voice wrong over and over again. Small wins, daily discipline, consistent effort. This is how you kill negative thinking. You starve it. You stop feeding it attention. You stop negotiating with it. You stop letting it decide. And here's the part that will make you uncomfortable, but free. You must be willing to disappoint the old version of yourself, the version that plays small, the version that hides, the version that waits, the version that stays safe. That version will resist change. It will fight back. It will panic. That's normal. But growth always feels like death to the old identity. And the moment you stop letting your thoughts control your actions, you take back your life. Here's the truth most people never accept. Your life will never rise above the level of your thinking. Not your income, not your confidence, not your discipline, not your future. If you allow negative thinking to run your mind, it will quietly run your destiny. Because negative thinking doesn't just affect how you feel, it controls how you act. And how you act determines everything. Every dream you delay, every opportunity you avoid, every risk you refuse to take, every time you choose comfort over growth, that wasn't life stopping you. That was your thinking stopping you. And here's the most dangerous part. Negative thinking always sounds reasonable. It doesn't tell you to quit forever. It tells you to quit today. It doesn't tell you to give up your dream. It tells you to wait until you're ready. It doesn't say you will fail. It says now isn't the right time. And one day, you wake up years later with the same thoughts, the same fears, the same regrets, and you realize time passed anyway. That's the cost of letting your mind run on autopilot. So understand this right now. You don't need a new life. You need a new relationship with your thoughts. You don't defeat negative thinking by fighting every thought. You defeat it by choosing who's in control. You stop asking, "Is this thought true?" And you start asking, "Does this thought move me forward?" If it doesn't, it dies. No debate, no drama, no delay, because discipline is deciding once and refusing to renegotiate every day. From this moment forward, you make a decision. You will not allow thoughts that weaken you. You will not entertain stories that keep you small. You will not identify with fear, doubt, or past failure, not because they disappear, but because you are stronger than them. Negative thoughts may knock on the door. They always will. But you decide whether they enter. And every time you choose action over doubt, every time you move forward despite fear, every time you show up when your mind says stay down, you rewrite your identity. You stop being someone controlled by thoughts and become someone who commands them. That is mental power. That is real confidence. That is how strong people are built. So let this be clear. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not behind. You have simply allowed a voice that is not you to speak louder than your potential. And today that ends. From this moment on, you move even when fear is present. You act even when doubt is loud. You build even when motivation is gone. You choose growth even when comfort begs you to stop. Because the future you want will never be built by a mind that constantly tears you down. So make the choice. Kill your negative thinking, or it will slowly kill the life you were meant to live. This is where it ends. This is where you take control. This is where the real you begins.